everybody. Welcome to Talking Tech with Creatives, a podcast diving deep into the intersection of technology and creativity. I'm Stella Oni. Join me as renowned experts from the creative industries share their innovative journeys, great tips, and insights. As an author with passion for crime, food culture, and tech, I've always believed in transformative power of technology, especially for emerging economies in Africa. My guest today is Elizabeth Solaru, a former scientist and headhunter turned luxury business coach and strategist, who is an expert in understanding luxury clients. I'm so excited today to speak to Elizabeth. She's a respected award-winning cake designer who has appeared in many TV programs in the UK and is a world-class speaker. She's the CEO of Elizabeth's Cake Emporium and a luxury business emporium. She hosts the Luxury Business Podcast and co-hosts the Luxury Weekly News podcast. So, Elizabeth, welcome.
Thank you, Stella. It's such a pleasure being here today.
So, I want to ask you the first question. Of course, this is my curious self. Designing couture cakes for billionaires and royal family. This is a monumental achievement. Just tell us, what is your journey?
Oh my goodness. Okay, that is such a long question, the long question. And I'll give you the very short version. You've given a bit of a potted history of myself. I went from scientist, decided I wanted to do something in the business world, in the corporate world. So I went off, I did an MBA thinking that would get me into the corporate world. But I discovered it was all about networking. So thankfully, I networked furiously. Wow. And after I finished my MBA, I became head of MBA careers for the business school that I graduated from, because I badgered them about the lack of opportunities for people like me who are looking for a second, third career. And it was through networking on behalf of the business school, trying to do the best for the students, that I met someone who invited me to join his company as a headhunter. So everything was provided. I learned on the job. Luckily, I was a quick study. I learned on the job. I wrote so many articles for the company website. And eventually, I ended up being seconded to the cabinet office to work on a leadership program. So I developed alongside Paula McDonald, she's Dame Paula McDonald now, developed a leadership program looking at which targeted underrepresented groups. So that was women, ethnic minorities, etc. So from there, did another headhunting job, maybe 2 headhunting jobs after that. And then we know what happened in 2008 when we had the financial crisis, and the clients became less and less. So I was let go. So I then decided that, okay, milestone birthday, this is it. If I don't do it now, I'll never, ever do it. So I decided to set up my own cake company. And I famously say I had £40 in the bank. I had a secondhand Kenwood mixer, and I started my cake company. But what then happened was that I started networking again. I wasn't getting anywhere with the networking, because this particular industry is a strange beast. And in those days, it was a completely different environment to what it was now, to put it politely. But again, as you know, we would say in Nigeria, God was on my side. I then I thought, okay, you know what, as a headhunter, my last place that I worked, we were required to make 100 calls a week. So rain or shine, regardless of meetings, regardless of interviews, regardless of the reports you had to write, you have to make your 100 calls a week. And these were cold calls, by the way. And the purpose of the call was to try and get a meeting with a chief executive or an HR director or a finance director. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing for the events industry. So I took the yellow pages and I looked through, I made so many calls. Some people were downright rude. Some people were not that rude, but it was all still a no. So and I say to people, some of the no's were a never, some were a maybe, but I had all kinds of no's. But then, as they say, God was on my side. I called this particular number. There was nothing distinguishing about this number. I called a very young girl at the other end, said, by the way, do you make cupcakes? After I'd introduced myself. And I said, yes, I do. And I then said to her, by the way, I'm going to be in your area in the next few days. Can I drop some samples off with your office? And she said, oh my goodness, that would be amazing if you can do that. So again, I normally gave a few days so I can get myself together. So I went out, I bought the fanciest boxes that I could find. And the lady that I got the boxes from, she's still up, you know, she also just started her business and she's still operating. I still buy from her. Her boxes are phenomenal. So I got some boxes. I made the cupcake samples and I hand delivered them. But the one thing I didn't do, I didn't stick around to say, hi, I'm Elizabeth or whatever. I just said delivery from Elizabeth, because sometimes you don't know how people are going to react to your face, your race, or your grace. So it's better to just dump, especially in those days, dump and run. So before I got home, I then got a phone call on my mobile saying, can you please come back? Lady Elizabeth would like to meet you. And I'm like, who's Lady Elizabeth? You know, so again, went back, and it was Lady Elizabeth. And she said, loved your cupcakes. I tried so many cupcakes. They were all dreadful. Yours were excellent. I'm going to place an order now for 250 cupcakes. And she wrote me a check. It was from a private bank. The first private bank check I'd ever seen in my life. It was from Coots.
Coots, yeah.
It was from Coots. But I was too poor, not, you know, I had to cash it down. I wish I'd taken a photocopy of that check. So that was how, then I made, obviously I could, as you can imagine, I paid extra attention to those cupcakes, lovely designs, etc. Now, the story didn't end there, which again, phenomenal as the story was. For me, the most important thing of the story was that after the event, Lady Elizabeth wrote a handwritten note to me to say that, yes, to say that the cakes were delicious, amazing, wonderful. They had 3 cake makers at that, you know, they got cakes from 3 different cake makers. I was cake number 3. And she then said my cakes were the best out of the 3. And I can use her words on all my marketing material. She gave me, she expressly gave me exactly. This was why I said, when I say this was God, it wasn't me. It wasn't anything that I think, you know, I didn't earn it. I don't think I deserved it, but this was God in action. And it only came about via persistence, because if I didn't make those phone calls, and that was how that was kind of like a little entryway into the luxury world. And then there was another thing also happened, which also gave me an entry into the luxury world. That was me appearing on TV, The Great Cake Bake, which is a precursor to Bake Off as we know it now. So, but I can talk about that later. But my point is that that for me is, I think, the genesis story in terms of somebody literally taking me by the hand and being uncommonly kind, despite the fact that they don't know me, they didn't have to. So that was how it all started, and that was how I got into what I got into.
You know something, I just want to tease something out of there, because the things you did, you cannot transfer the skills that you had into the cake business, but there's a driving force in there somewhere. What is your influence? What influenced you to have that drive, even from the headhunting to the cake?
I mean, again, obviously my parents, because my dad extremely hardworking, my mother extremely hardworking, you know, and the kind of family I'm from, if you tell us no, no is just another word. It's not final. It's just another word. So yeah, you said no. Okay, fair enough. You know, that's your opinion. And no is a matter of opinion. So it's your opinion that it's a no from you. But it doesn't mean a no from everybody else. And it doesn't mean a complete, unless you tell me it's a never. Even when you say it's a never,
you never give up.
There are ways in which I've seen people tell me never, and then years later, they come back to come and ask me to work for them. So Yes, so it happens
Wow. So
because
never give up,
sometimes
never give up.
never give
Right.
up, because sometimes we make judgments based on where we are at that particular time. So it may not even be personal. It may be that particular time you are not what they need, or they're not in a position to appreciate you yet. But years later, when they realize, oh my God, this person actually gave me gold, but because it wasn't nice and shiny, I didn't recognize it as gold. Or look at this diamond, because I didn't, it wasn't polished, I didn't recognize it as a diamond. So for me, so I would say influence, definitely my family.
That's good.
Definitely something innate as well.
Yeah.
I've always just had a natural drive. And I think that comes from curiosity, because I want to see what happens at the end. And for me, the end is when I die. The end is when I'm in the grave. So as long as I have breath in my body, I will continue to see what's going to happen next, because think of it like a movie. When the hero gets shot and falls in the water, and we all think the hero is dead.
Yeah.
And then a few months later,
so you're bouncing up again like Jack in the Box. Here I am again.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I think of your life like that, think of your life like that. And I know it's easier said than done, because trust me, I've been there, crying, whatever,
in the trenches. You've been in the trenches.
In the trenches, being uncomfortable, being, everything. But the bottom line is that my story doesn't end here, or my story can't end like this.
Yeah. I'm going to just kind of like pivot away from that. I want to talk about branding.
Yes.
And I'm going to use Nigeria as an example, because we have export of literature, art, music, the Afrobeat and everything. But for me, I want to just kind of like take out, understand get your expertise on how they can take that and make a world create global brands from what they've got, because I'm not seeing that now. What is your thought on that?
Okay, now creating a global brand doesn't happen by accident. It takes time. We're talking maybe 10, 20 years.
Wow.
Then it takes money, and it takes a lot of effort. But the one thing that we have, say you don't have money. Let's say you're starting from scratch and you don't have money. You definitely have time. You have imagination. You have your creativity. And also the one little thing that people miss, the psychology. So if I were to create a brand, say, for example, if I were to create a food brand in the UK, my thinking is, okay, let me go to the best known food brand in the UK, or the best known food shop in the UK that is high-end, that is luxury. Only one, well, maybe two places I would go, maybe three. But let's say two places. First, I'll head to Fortnum & Mason.
Yes.
I'll head there, look at their packaging, look at the feel, the colors, because even established brands, they every so often they do a rebrand, a refresh, they retain the same brand, Fortnum & Mason, for hundreds of years, but over the years they do a rebrand, a refresh. Sometimes people get stuck thinking that once I've done my branding, say I've got my logo, that's it. Your branding is not just your logo. It's far more than that. It's your values, your ethics, is what you stand for. Then you begin to think of colors and fonts, packaging. And then when you think of packaging, you're talking about how does it feel? What, again, do we even do consumer testing? Do we do consumer psychology? Do we bring in a consumer psychologist to tell us, okay, if you go with that color, this is the reaction you're likely to get. If you're looking at this particular demographic, this is what you're likely to get. So things like that doesn't have to cost a lot of money. There are things we can do for free. Sometimes we make the mistake of asking family and friends. Your family and friends are not your clients. For certain things, they might be your initial clients. They're not your target market, your target client. So the more you can access your target client, the better. And in the early days, people don't want to think about how they can do marketing. Maybe you haven't got a massive budget to hire an amazing branding company, because one mistake I made very earlier on, I didn't get my branding exactly right. My web designer gave me my branding, and he gave me a flower. He wanted to give me a cake and a flower. So I thought, Pink flower, yeah, let me go with that. Or a mistake people make is that they look at who they think is their competitor and put their branding on what the competitor is doing. Again, huge mistake. So if you want to do anything luxury, if you want to enter into the luxury market, what I then eventually did was that I thought of the brands that I absolutely adore. I thought of why do I love those? Why do I love these brands? Why do I love them? What do they do for me in terms of feeling, in terms of emotion? Because luxury selling is extreme emotion.
Emotion, psychology.
It's psychology. It's not the cost. I mean, if you think about it, how can a handbag cost $500,000 or 100,000? But to some people, it's worth every penny. But what is it? It's the emotion, it's the affiliation. So if you're starting from scratch, are you building the kind of brand that people want to be affiliated with? If you put your product on the shelf, would people walk past it, or would they stop twice to have a look again? And then then we talk about the inside. So I used food as an example. When it comes to luxury foods, it's all about consistency. And I'm sorry to say that some of us are not there yet in terms of consistency. So it can't be salty today, non-salty tomorrow. I call this is the bit, and this is a surprising example that I'm going to use. It's like McDonald's. You go to McDonald's anywhere in the world, it is consistent. So you need to break your product down to the minutest detail, the point where you have a manual. This comes from my ex-scientist background, a standard operating procedure manual. Where even everything you do, if it's 4 cups of this, it's got to be 4 cups of, everything is going to be consistent, written down, documented, regimented. So that consistency of quality is there each and every time. Each and every time. So
every time.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like I said, you can look to any industry, to get that emotion, to get that consistency, to get the packaging right, to get the psychology right, to get the branding right. There are so many layers and layers and layers. So it's not just a matter of, you have a passion. And I see this every time. I have a passion for.
If passion,
passion is great. Passion will keep you going. Where you're thinking of quitting, passion will not deliver.
It needs to work,
And the final thing as well is your cash flow. I cannot stress enough your cash flow, because if your business is not making money, it is an expensive hobby. Especially a luxury business. And again, I can go down that luxury business route and unpack it later. But I would just urge everyone listening right now, you need to keep an eye on your cash flow and make sure that cash is flowing into your business. That is absolutely important.
And to be candid, actually goes for a lot of businesses as well. So the question I want to ask is that we're in the age of technology. You're talking about all of this now. How do people use technology now? These entrepreneurs, how do they utilize technology for what you're talking about now?
Oh my gosh, there's so many examples. I literally did a post about it a few days ago. Technology is revolutionizing the luxury sector. So you have, for example, you have chatbots. Gucci uses the most sophisticated chatbots. They would actually, based on when you've scrolled on their website and you're finally ready to either make a purchase or chat to somebody some more, they will make suggestions for you. They will, because they're reading your reactions, your emotions, and again, this is very powerful stuff. So they use of chatbots, use of real-time information. So for example, if a particular item seems to be the one that is going, Tommy Hilfiger is using technology to make more of that item. So I remember when I did my MBA, the Japanese were, they pioneered just-in-time technology, where you only produce
What's as
as
required, yeah.
as required. But now it's everything has been taken over by AI. So AI does that even better. So many again, some luxury businesses use predictive models. So and I know this may shock people. I did a post about Shein. You know Shein, fast fashion. Shein.
Yeah. I mean, I've not read that post yet.
Okay, Shein has now started selling luxury.
Yes, because is that the one that Naomi? Is that the one?
No,
No,
was
was
it
it Shein?
Shein? Was it
Was it
Shein?
that? Who
I
was
can't
in
remember
Shein?
which one. Yeah.
Somebody did something with Shein
Yeah.
recently, and they were not happy. I think it was
I think she did
without naming names.
but my point is that what's happening now is that the because Shein has this technology where they can scan the whole internet, the whole world, and have a look at what particular products are selling across several websites. So they will then manufacture the best-selling designs and products to meet that demand at that particular time. They're doing that. And they're using
that is shocking.
Exactly, and they're using freely available data. So this is where technology is coming in. Even technology in design, using a certain mirror where you don't have to actually go to the shop, but you can actually try it on. So your image is trying on the clothes without you being in the shop.
Yeah, let me point that out to the listeners. Talking tech with creatives on Instagram. We're just starting out, really starting out. We're new, but I put that. I thought there's a site that does that, and it's on Instagram, so you can see it.
Yeah, and it's also on Snapchat as well. Snapchat has this filter that I think they did with either Nike or Adidas. I can't remember. Then, so these are some of the things that's happening right now in the world of technology, AI, and then obviously there was the blockchain technology that came out. For me, I know I created an NFT. I created $1 million NFT for one of my God. I just did it out of fun. It was curiosity.
Yeah.
I was like, what's all this NFT nonsense? So I created one. But for me, it wasn't the NFT itself that was my goal. It was the underlying technology, the fascination around blockchain, where, say, for example, you buy a car, you can do everything on the blockchain so that the documents, everything is transferred to you. You claim ownership of it, blah, blah, blah. But I was even more curious about the legal aspects.
Yes.
Because the legal hasn't yet caught up with reality. It's getting there, but it hasn't caught up. And then the NFT world was so, it was like the wild, wild west, to the point where I can take your image, for example, I can create you as an NFT, and it's my property. So but your image, you you should own the copyright to your own self, your own image. So there was a guy who went and created NFTs of the Birkin bags of MS.
That's
and they took him to court. Obviously, they won, but he gained notoriety from it. So those are some of the changes happening right now in the landscape, and it's very exciting.
Yeah. And there are lots of people with time studying this. So for the listeners again, I'm going to be doing some standalones for blockchain, NFTs and all that. So we'll be explaining that. So those who don't understand it, don't worry too much about it. I'll be doing standalones on it. So Elizabeth, I want to ask you, because I know that you talked about your challenges as well. What are the biggest challenges that you had to overcome?
The biggest challenges, oh my goodness, was very, very early days. So trying to get clients and the right caliber of client, because the funny thing was that I was right caliber because I was squeezing myself, and this is not where you think, where it's going to go. I was putting myself in the middle market. So if I was not low, not high, but if I was in the middle, I would be okay. That was my thinking. But the problem was that people saw my products as high-end products. So they expected to pay more than what I was charging. So I was charging, so that put some of them off.
Oh.
It put some of the high, because they wouldn't believe. They were like, how can you sell something that looks this nice for that amount.
So they wanted to pay more.
They were willing to pay more, but I didn't realize that. So after about 5 years of trying to squeeze myself into the middle market, around 2013, I literally just woke up and I double, tripled my prices.
Yeah.
And I lost, I would say I lost 80% of the people that would usually buy from me, you know, because they're like, oh my God, this is a bargain, you know, let me pay now. But I then gained new clientele, and I get entry into a new world. So that was a massive challenge. There were other challenges along the way, including, you know, working with the right people. Meeting the right people, working with the right people, because your values have to align. Because I'm a kind of person, I deliver what I say I will deliver. So I didn't understand why people wouldn't do the same. And also coming from a corporate background where you had to deliver. I mean, it's impossible not to deliver. I mean, you have to deliver because your key performance indicators are there, blah, blah, blah. But when you're running your own business, you have to set your KPIs. You have to, again, choose the people you work with. And then you have to then see, okay, there are people who may choose not to work with you, because in my industry, there's a lot of reliance on a particular set of people, either the event planners or the wedding planners. But what if they don't like your face this year? What seriously? But if you're not in fashion,
if you're not in
fashion that year, what would happen to you?
Oh my God!
So this was when I then learned, you know, to try and. So I found I because I think differently and laterally. I found different ways of finding clients, and I talk about it, how to find clients. Again, I fell back on my headhunting days. Because when we made those 100 calls, some of us had to make 100 calls. Some of us only made one call and got 6 jobs a year, and they met their targets.
Yeah.
But some of us, I didn't go to school with anybody.
So you had to. So you you had to start cold.
I had to start cold. So I literally, but it was learning. So I learned, you know, I used different ways, and I was so lucky because technology blogs were huge in those days. I used blogs. I remember one afternoon I sat down and I Googled best CEO blogs. And that was how I got some of my, I literally via their blogs.
Oh because God. I wish I had your brain. Oh my God, give me some of it.
Because it's sometimes desperation. It wasn't as if, you know, it was, okay, I need to hit those targets. I need to get those meetings. What do I do? So I thought, oh, CEO blogs. So again, CEO blogs, to the point where I was able to get meetings. Some meetings I had to take my boss, because these were men that were way above my pay grade, or so I thought. Again, I should have had
mindset.
Exactly.
We have to find a way to change that mindset, and one of it is coaching. But we'll come to that anyway. One of it is coaching. Yeah.
So again, it was about I should have had the courage and you know, just the courage and the mindset to say, if I could land this guy, if I can land a meeting, I can take the meeting by myself.
But I don't feel that I think it's what you had, the mindset you had then.
Yes, of course.
It's very difficult to say one should have had, because, you know, if you had that mindset, there's nothing. But if somebody coached you or somebody mentored you, then you know that you actually could stand there and claim what you want.
Exactly. And this is why for our community in particular, especially women, especially Black women or women of color, that coaching, because I can tell you this, when I was a headhunter, many I would call them the A-star candidates, all of them without fail, they had mentors for different parts of their lives. They had coaches for different parts of their lives. So they didn't just have one coach. They had coaches. They had coaches, and to give them their due, they went on several leadership development programs. Many of them did, because they invested in themselves. The mentality was different. It was completely different. The confidence, the assurance, and their achievements as well, because whatever they did, they made sure what their achievements were documented, and more importantly, it was seen.
Documented and
So
seen.
documented and seen, because they were not martyrs to, oh, I'm just being a good little soldier, let me be modest and whatever. No. They were, don't get me wrong, some one or two might have been arrogant, but many of them, they had what I call a healthy ego.
They were confident.
They were confident. It was healthy.
So that was built from.
That was built. Although, again, if we dig back a little bit, we're talking about they went to the right schools. Education also helped. But I did meet people, even without that kind of education. Maybe they went to a state school, didn't go to a grammar school, didn't go to boarding school, that sort of thing. You had people, even I remember a CEO, very inspiring CEO, used to be a drug addict. And she rose, and she rose to become a CEO of one of the largest charities in the UK. So my point is that, again, mindset. But the coaching helped massively, because coaching the right coach can accelerate your progress by 10 years.
Wow, by 10 years.
Yes, the right coach.
Yes, because you're jump starting, aren't you? Straight.
Exactly.
You're learning,
learning, and it's accelerated learning. We're cutting out all the rubbish, and we're taking it straight. So instead of the years of planting and harvesting and waiting and blah blah blah, you can be. So again, it's around that. So like I said, I learned a lot. So it really helped me in running my business and in making sure that the clients that I served are a particular set of clients.
So people have heard now what you need to do. So if you were a small business, you're just starting out, you have people who are just starting out. What is your advice for someone, they don't have all the, the things that the big companies, the luxury companies have in terms of analytics and all that. Where should they start? Someone wants to start out in luxury, where should they start using technology?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, the technology, for the most part, you can actually get free technology. You can use some of the tools that are readily available. So you can use a generative AI, for example. That would help you to, even if you just literally load in, these are my values, these are the colors I like, this is what I want to do, blah, blah. These are things we didn't have in my day. We didn't have any of this. You can literally load it in.
It's free.
And bring out, it would literally bring out, and then you can look at that and say, okay, can you adjust for this? Can you do it better this way? Can you? So you can start from there.
Yeah.
And you can do what I coach some of my clients to do. Again, it's very free. I would say to them, okay, you want to serve that sector. What do you know about that sector? Usually they don't know a lot. I would say, okay, in your local area, either go and walk every day, go and walk by the nicest, biggest, poshest house in your area, or go into the best car showroom in your, I gave this advice to somebody I was coaching, go to the biggest and best car showroom and ask to speak to the person who's running it, but don't go empty-handed. Ask them say to them, you want to help them get clients, right? Because this person was an event planner. You want to help them get clients. That's your aim. There is no business you walk into and say,
they'll be happy to hear.
I want to help you get clients and I will not charge you a penny. I will say, please sit down, because even if you're telling me rubbish, I want to hear. Yeah. So I said to her, go armed with a few ideas and say to them, what have you done in the past? The best event you've ever done that has brought you the most clients. And if I take that off you, say I take that stress off you and I organize it for you, would you be willing to do that? Now, this girl has a website, by the way.
Wow. So
my point is that there were several things in that coaching, for me, because I believe in being practical. Number one, I said to her, you might not be able to do it tomorrow or next week. I'm giving you a month to work up the courage. So that's why I say to people, walk past the place like 10 times.
Yeah.
If you walk past it 10 times,
you'll have the courage.
Eventually, you'll have, at least you'll get your foot in the door at some point.
That's it. And
And
Yeah,
I say, don't send emails. Do it
Mhm.
face to face. You know, 'cause we hide behind emails, or DMing them on social media.
It won't work.
It won't work, especially if you're looking high end.
Yes.
Face to face
Yeah.
is often the best, because if they see you, they see your intensity, they see your intentions, they see your determination. And okay, even if it's a no, it was always a no before you stepped in anyway.
At least you did it.
At least you did it.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then I'll say, okay, you've tried one. Now try another one until you get it. Yes.
That's it.
My point is that when you're starting out, and you have, and I know, and this is the funny thing, I know some of the best event planners in my industry, they don't even have a website. Nope, they don't have a website.
So that's what, are we talking about word of mouth then?
It's word of mouth.
Referrals.
Wow. Or even referrals, word of mouth. In fact, I know that some of the, as in the very, very best top end ones, your normal person on the street doesn't even know. You know, you hear about the other ones that they have articles in These ones are like low key. They don't even, because, and they're always booked. So my point is that when you need to know the market that you're going into, the market that you want to serve, you need to know that market, and then find an equivalent either. And I say to people, network on 3 levels. You know, network with people who are where you want to be, network with people who are on the same level as you, and network with rising stars. Never ever discount rising stars. In your haste, you know, because people say, oh my God, you should network upwards, or there's a saying by Oprah, or be around people that will lift you higher. What about you? You know, why are you not lifting anyone yourself? So if everyone were to adopt that attitude with you, nobody will lift you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And people keep quoting that, and I'm like, to me, that's, I mean, I love Oprah, I love you.
I love you. We love you, Oprah. We love you.
But that particular statement, I believe people take it out of context. Because I think what Oprah was trying to say is that lift each other up. It's not like some people just lifting you, you need to lift each other up.
It's give and take anyway. Even people that are higher up, you just don't go to them and want to take things from there. You have to be able to offer something to them as well. Otherwise, then you're taking. So I wanted to just backtrack a little bit and say, like, all the free tools that we're talking about, some of them, Canva is a free tool out there. Right. There's a paid premium part of it, but it's free to use. DALL-E, you can, there's free generative AI. Midjourney has some free credits as well before you can pay for it. So there are free things out there that you can use to start. Then if you're going to any of these showrooms, look your best. Look good. Don't
just turn up and in fact, before you even walk in, sometimes you do sometimes you walk in and say, I'd like to book an appointment, please. So go there, but go to book an appointment. Don't just go and dump. Sometimes some people end up trauma dumping. Oh
my God.
Go in and book an appointment first.
Yeah. Okay.
Just say, I'm here to, it's a bit strange because sometimes people, and I've seen people go, okay, you know what? And I've done it. And they go, you know what? I'm free now. I'm curious, let's have a chat now. And if you tell them 15 minutes, when it's 12 minutes, because I'm very much like that, when it's 12 minutes, say to them, I realize it's 12 minutes since we've been chatting, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. I can always come back to finish. I can round up in the next 3 minutes and finish, and then come back later. But 9 times out of 10, if you've established a nice rapport and they like you, don't worry about it. Let's carry on. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So make sure the 15 minutes is not exceeded, because it shows you respect their time. Look your best. And even if they can't help you, they will refer you to somebody that can help you. That's true. Because my first ever scientific job in this country, I walked into a lab that was near where I was staying. I just walked in and I said to the guy, these are my qualifications, blah, 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 blah. I'm not looking for a job in your lab. All I just want is, I just want to come in, maybe make cups of tea, maybe tidy up. I said,
oh my God.
Maybe tidy up, maybe whatever it is, jobs that people don't want to do, I'm happy to do. And he just stood there staring at me, and he said, wait. And he went inside and he photocopied jobs from a journal. That this journal was like a specialist journal. It wasn't sold anywhere.
Yeah.
So he photocopied about 10 jobs and he just gave them to me. And he said, I wish I could give you an opportunity, but I have no space in my lab. But try these. And in those days, you had to call a certain number. You call HR then sent you the forms. You filled out the forms. And that was how I got my job, my very first job as a trainee at St. Mary's Hospital. Wow. By literally doing that. Because if I'd listened to people around me had different useless theories. This is why I'll listen. Don't get me wrong. I'll listen, but if it doesn't make sense, I'll try something different. So that's how again, I wish I could remember his name so I could thank him. But I remember every year I remember him because he didn't have to. Again, these
kindness,
and I can't really say it was the way I asked or whatever. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, who knows? But the bottom line is that if you don't ask, you don't get.
You don't get,
But don't ask, but if I said, oh, I've got XYZ qualifications, therefore, you don't go in arrogance, go in humility. Go in humility and just say, and be honest, if you're looking for an opportunity. Because some people, I've said to them, actually, I have no experience in doing XYZ, but I can do a trial and I can show you what I can do. Yeah. And then, okay, no problem. So yeah.
Good. Yeah. So I just want to ask you now, so what's the next thing for you now? Kind of like, in terms of where you're going now with your luxury career?
Gosh, that is, I've got several projects in the pipeline, but the one I'm most excited about is the book that I'm writing, which I'm hoping will be ready. Because, with writing, you keep saying, I had it in mind. Oh my God, by the end of the year, I got it to a point where I'm very happy with. I'm hoping to launch the book latest by spring next year. And in the book, I talk about luxury brands. So how to identify your particular luxury brand. I talk about luxury clients, the different types of luxury clients, because nobody talks about the different types. They just think, oh, I want clients with money. But there are different types of luxury clients. And because there are different types, there are different ways in which they buy. So I tell you all that, and I tell you how to find these clients as well, which I think is gold.
How to find a client, that's gold. That's pure gold.
Yeah, how to find.
So think about it. Look out for that book, guys.
So look out for the book. But again, once it's ready, I'm sure you'll tell your listeners anyway.
Of course.
Once it's ready. But yeah, so because it's a different kind of luxury book, because a lot of the luxury books are dry, they're academic, very, very informative, but they talk from the perspective of the very big luxury brands, and most of us don't have that kind of money or that kind of power behind us. We don't. But this is from my perspective as someone who has sold luxury and consulted for a number of brands, coached a number of brands for many years. So I literally distill all that wisdom into a book.
Fantastic. And you talked about automation. So how is automation going to come into your working, your tasks and all that?
I mean, again, even things like your social media, you're writing your posts, consulting with clients, some clients, depending on the package, etc. A lot of automation can come into that. And also showing, teaching people how to use that automation, because at heart, I'm still a scientist. I'm still a bit of a geek. I love playing around with these tools that are coming out. And also, but there's another side of it that I encourage people to delve into, which is the what I call the legal side. So we're talking about your IP, your data, protecting your data, protecting your intellectual property, protecting your trademarking, some of a lot of your stuff.
We'll be conscious,
Exactly. So you need to be very careful around that, because data mining, because there are laws coming out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some states in America are looking very, very hard into data mining, where people can just take your data. Things that we've been posting publicly on social media, for example, where a lot of these companies, they know when you're happy, they know when you're sad, they know what to show you, what advert to show you when you hit a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that are coming into play right
Yes,
now.
it is.
And if you notice, a number of celebrities are now taking back that control over their image, over some of the things that they do, what they endorse, etc., etc., etc. So it's a, like I said, it's becoming a very, very interesting place right now.
So we don't know where it's going yet. We're still watching. We're still watching.
I think the people funding it, they know where it's going. So your Googles,
They know the
they
end.
know where it's going. They know the end. There's an end goal, and it's all to do with money, making money. But we need to think, okay, my social media page, am I happy for someone to make millions from it, or should I be making the millions from it, or should we be sharing the millions?
The proceeds.
The proceeds.
Yeah. You have things like super apps as well. I think X, formerly Twitter. I think they're moving towards super app where they're thinking. So what they want to do is that they're going to have a lot. The X will be producing a lot.
Yeah.
Then they will share some. They want to share some of it with their.
I think
they're planning that now. They're planning that now.
Yeah, no, he's already started. The revenue sharing has already started.
There you go.
So you obviously your post will be stuffed with a number of ad revenues, and he actually said that because when he took over, a lot of advertisers left, but they've come back.
Oh no, a lot of people have come back now.
They've come back.
Of people they know they can see now.
He said this morning that he's got about 90% of them back.
Yeah, a lot of people have come back. Yeah, they can see.
So yeah, we are where we are.
Right. So I'm going to ask you a question. What is your secret passion? Something that you can share with us. I'm curious.
Oh, I love travel. But I love traveling in style. I love staying in really, really nice hotels. I love travel. I love learning about different cultures. I love learning about different foods in particular. I just love, that sort of interaction with people, cultures. But it's got to be in style. I am too old to
share one of your experience with us. Where have you been to that you really liked?
Okay, I can share a fairly recent one. I went to Zambia. Ooh. And it was safari. It was a safari in Zambia. And we stayed at the Royal Livingston. And oh my God. I mean, going to see the Victoria Falls, that is like one of the wonders.
I saw that. I've got a VR goggle and I saw it through a VR goggle.
Whatever it is you saw, honestly, we crossed, we crossed a bridge, right? Which literally was almost over the falls. I thought, because I hate heights and water. So can you imagine? I had both.
Height and water.
Height and water. But it was one of the most thrilling things I've ever done in my life. It was incredible. Then obviously seeing the wildlife very close up, seeing giraffes. I thought, the funny thing is that I thought, prior to that, my favorite animal was the elephant. So I was like, and we got all excited over elephants. But rhinos look incredible. Wow. I know, I didn't think I would I just adore them.
Rhinos.
They look incredible. And we saw all sorts of, zebras were beautiful. And after a while, the zebras became 2 a penny. It's like, yeah, zebra. Or the impalas. Oh, that's just an impala. And it's amazing how you get used to something.
You get used to it. Beauty, natural beauty.
Natural beauty. But Zambia is a gorgeous country. It's beautiful. The people are lovely, incredible. And the food, I had
it's on my list. It's on my list now. I can't wait.
one correct oxtail. Oh my God, the oxtail.
Oh, me, I'm into food big time. So,
So yeah, so
oh, that's
Zambia
fantastic.
was very, very, very lovely. It was just lovely. It
Oh,
was
that's
an incredible
beautiful. And that's
experience.
beautiful. So, you've got a lot going on. How do you kind of like have that work-life balance? I've asked this. I'm quite interested in your answer. I've asked a lot of entrepreneurs this.
I think it really depends. I mean, it's not all go, go, go.
Hmm.
Sometimes I deliberately, so for me, for example, my Mondays and Tuesdays are my days off.
Oh, fantastic.
When I say as in, sometimes on a Tuesday, it might be a total shutdown,
Oh.
like total, because a lot of my work tends to be at the weekends anyway, if it's wedding
Mm.
season.
Hmm.
But if it's off season, then and I also, for some reason, I just get used to working at the weekend. So
Hmm.
I try to take Monday and Tuesday off completely,
Mm.
and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when I work.
Hmm.
So for me, just reading a book or going for afternoon tea. I love afternoon tea.
Yes.
So going for afternoon tea, or once or twice a year, going to the spa and literally just sitting there being comatose, not talking, not moving. I
Hmm.
love doing that as well.
That's
So for
fantastic.
me, it's about decompressing, de-stressing, and just generally, you know, regaining my
That's it.
balance
That's it. Yeah,
before
that's
I get
important.
back into my crazy world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important. And finally, thank you so much for coming to this podcast. It's been amazing. Now, how do the audience, the listeners, how do they reach you?
Okay, best place is LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So I'm Elizabeth Solaru on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
But if you go on Instagram, Elizabeth's Cake Emporium on Instagram, or Elizabeth Solaru on Instagram as well. But yeah,
Okay.
but LinkedIn is my
Your
is my
main,
is
yes,
my
yes.
preferred
I
social media platform. And
and
again, I'm on a Luxury Business Emporium as well. If you Google that, you can
mhm.
get hold of me via that.
And go really connect on LinkedIn, at least follow out on LinkedIn because the posts are really useful. I was thinking about you putting those posts together. We'll discuss that.
Everyone keeps telling me I should put it together as a book, so maybe I will. Who
I
knows?
think so. Those posts are very useful, very, very useful. You can put it together. Well, we'll
Yeah.
be talking about that later.
We'll talk about it
So
later.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.